You probably didn't get into the veterinary field for the money, but the money is a critical part. So whether you own your own practice and you're wondering, how am I going to actually fill the needs of the community around me, grow, scale, and eventually pass this business on, or if you're working in a practice and you have high student loans to pay back and you're struggling, you're thinking you should be further ahead with your finances than you are, well, I want to bring in today's expert who's going to unpack wherever you might be in the process and help you get to where you want to be. Let me bring in today's guest, Hogan Choice. So Hogan, great to see you today. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, good to see you as well. I am a financial advisor and I specialize in working with veterinarians and veterinarian practice owners.
I love that. And what's special about veterinarians? How did you get into that?
My uncle's actually a veterinarian. He has been a vet for over 40 years now, and he's owned and operated his own practice for over 30 of those 40 years. And so I've seen him through my entire life work to build out his business, his veterinarian clinic, and I've seen how much effort it takes for these veterinarians to do their job. And so I wanted to work with people who also want to work with helping animals and helping their human clients as well.
They kind of say that animals sometimes have better choice of or better judge of character than people, right? I mean, so that makes a ton of sense, right?
Oh yes, definitely.
Very cool. Now, what is it that maybe a veterinarian's going to face or have a challenge that maybe the average person wouldn't?
A lot of it, especially early in career, is student loan debt. Veterinary school is very expensive, and a lot of vet schools are out of state compared to where the applicants live. And so, student loan debt is definitely a massive challenge for veterinarians. Other challenges are a lot of their income is attached to their production. So, the more they work, the more they get paid. And so, it's very normal to see veterinarians working 50, 60, 70 plus hours a week, making sure that their income is suitable for their lifestyle. And on the practice owner side, it's being dealing with business, dealing with payroll, with taxes, managing employees and clients. What's the best way for them to retire? How are they going to take care of their business when they choose to retire? Things like that come up for veterinarians that the average person doesn't have to deal with consistently.
Yeah, it just sounds like one of those things like you're building a business or you're working in the business trying to just pay back those student loans that have mounted up. What are some things that you find that are like pitfalls? What are some things that they're not really paying attention to that end up kind of biting them in the long term?
A big pitfall I see is people don't have a great understanding of where their money's going. I can ask you, for example, how much do you think you spend on this in an average month? And you might say, oh, I spend $500 a month on this activity or this line item of my budget. And then in reality, it's something closer to 1,000 or $1,200 a month. And that's something that I find when veterinarians they have specific goals like everybody else, but their money isn't going towards achieving those goals like they think they actually are.
And if you're not disciplined on the front end, I mean, it really doesn't matter how much you make, right? If you're spending it all and don't even realize it, that's a tough place to be.
Oh no, absolutely. It's you could have a magic ball and a magic globe of investing knowledge, but if there's no money to invest, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So you're getting those basics established, and then talk to me about the next level. Once I got the basics established, maybe I do have a good handle on where the money's going. What's kind of that next step that the vets need to really look into?
Yeah, going from there, there's it's typically your investment strategy. So knowing what your specific risk tolerance is, knowing based off that risk tolerance, what your average rate of return should be any given year in the market, and making sure that you have a set plan for that now and for later. So if that's for retirement, if you have children for college planning, there's always tax planning involved. What tax advantage accounts can we use? If you're a business owner, what entity selection can we have? Are there any other tax strategies around that? There's estate planning. What happens if something happens to you? What happens if something happens to your spouse? We're all going to pass away eventually. It's important to have a plan to make sure that once that happens, everybody knows the steps to make sure that the family is still, functioning beyond your lifetime.
Well, that can mean a whole lot more when you're on the business owner side or the practice owner side versus working in the business. I mean, you got things here that without you being in there, sometimes the business doesn't exist anymore. You got to put some pretty good plans in place to compensate for that.
Oh no, absolutely. There's things you can do. Are there any key employees you need to make sure it's not just if you leave? What happens if a key employee leaves? What happens, like you said, if typically the practice owner, if something happens to them, the majority of practices will die. So what happens to the business? What happens to your employees? What happens to your clients and customers if something were to happen to you?
Yep. Well, and a lot of times isn't the practice or the business like that can feel like the retirement plan, right? Like you're hoping at some point maybe I'll be able to have an exit on this or pass this down, but sometimes it doesn't happen in the veterinary clinics. I mean, so talk to me a little bit about maybe that philosophy versus more integrating some of your strategies for retirement.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, for every practice owner, their business is a big part of their retirement plan. Whether it's they intend to pass it down to their children or a niece or nephew, have someone that's in the practice currently eventually buy it from them, or if they were to sell to an outside party. Typically, what I've found with that is the veterinary practice owners typically we put all their eggs in one basket. It's my business has to sell for X amount of money, otherwise I'm in trouble. And so, what strategies that I put in place are to one, let's make sure we get as close to this number as physically possible. But two, let's create other retirement accounts, retirement strategies. That way, you're not completely relying on the sale of your business for a specific number. Because as we're both aware, business valuations go up and down, not just for veterinarian clinics, but in any other business out there.
Yeah, they don't bank the buyer is not thinking that care about your number you need. That their bank, that's funny, it doesn't care about the number you need. They care about the business and how it's producing, right? So if you need a number and you're short, that's a stressful shortfall.
No, absolutely, and so that's definitely something that I work with all my practice owner clients on, making sure that they're getting the maximum valuation of their business and having other retirement strategies in place. So selling their business isn't the retirement plan; it's part of an overall strategy.
It all linked together. And are there things that they can be doing now to help for potentially a better sale, a better exit, a better transition of the business?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, big things are, really, how do I want to sell this? Do I want to pass it down to, a child, a niece or a nephew that's also a veterinarian? Do you want to sell it to an insider? Is there an associate that's, up and coming that wants to take over the business eventually? And then do you want to sell to an outside party, whether that be a corporate consolidator or another veterinarian that you might know would be interested in passing along the business? So that's definitely something you should look into sooner rather than later. That way you can build towards what strategy you want to implement.
I love that. So now back to like the day to day. What are some things that you've seen vets try that just didn't work?
That's a good question. A lot of it, like I said, goes earlier to not knowing where their money goes. A lot of it is also trying to pick stocks for themselves, do track record investing for the market, things like that. It's hard enough to be a veterinarian full time and a business owner. Coming home and managing their own investments. A lot of times, what they would call investing is really just speculating and gambling with the market and hoping the dice roll the way you want them to.
And maybe they've heard or will find out about some of the tax benefits of owning a business, because there's a lot of other things that aren't a benefit of owning a business: the stress, the amount you put on yourself, the hours. But there are some benefits, but you have to take those appropriately. They have to be structured the right way. There's not just throw out the wall and hope the IRS doesn't come looking, right? There's certain things they have to do to start to benefit from some of those tax codes?
No, absolutely. There's things you can look at, such as retirement plans, entity selections into your business. There's always want clean bookkeeping and things like that. And then depending on which state you live in, there are also some things you can look into on a state level as well.
Yeah. And so that's where they start to engage someone like you to be able to bring in that full picture. So really, if at this point this has resonated, or maybe this has been so far in left field you haven't had time to think about it, do not put this off. This is not something that you want to take for granted. This is not a fine wine. It will not get better with age, will it, Hogan? This is the things that they need to be addressing now. And take me through a little bit of your process here. When they start meeting with you, what are some of the early conversations like?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically the first meeting I have is, I call it a discovery call or initial conversation. And really that meeting is all about them. It's, what are their goals for life? What are their goals, what short term, what are their goals long term? And it's really getting down to eventually, what do you want your life to look like? What is your purpose for money that's greater than the money itself? And then from there, I will essentially walk them through my planning process. And that's a financial planning meeting where I build out a base financial planning model for the client. We'll have a investment meeting where I do a deep dive analysis into all of your investment accounts, your 401ks, your HSAs, your IRAs, all that fun stuff. If if the client is a business owner, there is a business planning session in there as well, where we go through entity selections and tax projections and things like that. And then at the end, there's a recommendations meeting where I present my recommendations to them in writing, and we begin implementation from there.
Now, this can sound or be a bit overwhelming if it's not something that they've been, if they're more, hey, I did this to help people and help animals. And this is just all the stuff that goes with it, right? So just like figuring out payroll and just like figuring out how to handle suppliers and just like figuring out how to maintain a building, right? All the things that they're learning, this is a key part not to skip.
No, absolutely. This is definitely a critical part of their business, and this is something that I'm with my clients, every step of the way. There isn't any hi, this is what I need, good luck, have fun. This is something that, step by step, I work through and coach you, every step of the process moving forward.
And what made you want to do this? I know your uncle was a vet, so I get that part, but why was it financial services? Is that what the guidance counselor said?
No, it's not what the guidance counselor said. In many ways, I actually think that financial advising found me. I had a career change due to the COVID pandemic, and so I wanted to use that opportunity as a take a chance to do something different, something that wasn't necessarily all about the money, but being able to wake up every day and say, I am truly making a difference in people's lives. And so I decided to jump into the financial services profession.
Very cool. So during COVID, it found you. What's some of the thing about this industry that you're like, man, you said you wake up and love it. What is it? Do you like the investments? Do you like keeping money in your clients' pockets over the IRS? I mean, what is the thing that really gets you going in financial services?
Keeping money in people's pockets is always a plus. For me, really, the big thing is being able to hear everyone's stories. Being able to see where they come from, see what they're about in life, and seeing how they're trying to make an impact on the world. And me being able to create a financial plan for them to help achieve that is the best part of the business by far.
Now, if someone's watching this, does it matter where they live? I mean, if we got vets all over the country here, does it matter for you?
No, not at all. I'm able to work with vets in all 50 states.
So I think that's your key. I think if right now you've been putting this off, or maybe you're wondering, am I leaving money on the table? Am I not making what I should be making? Are my investments barely covering the fees? Are my taxes eating away at what should be my legacy, my company? Are there things that I could be doing to improve, to put money back into the company, to grow, to scale? This is all the things that proper capital planning can do for you. It's all the things that proper financial planning can do for you. So yes, when you put your head on the pillow at night, you will sleep better. But I would tell you, don't ignore this. Don't wait. book that call with Hogan. You'll find that on the screen or in the description. If you're watching this video, don't waste another minute. Get on that call, sort this stuff out, whether you're thinking, man, I should be doing better, or whether you're like, wow, I've never even looked at this stuff. I don't even want to know what's behind the door. Hogan will walk you through that process. So Hogan, is there any kind of thing they should prepare for that call? Is there anything they should have with them? I mean, that first initial one, I mean.
For the first initial call, nothing specific, really just any questions that they want answered, and then any topics that they want to make sure that we discuss on that call, but no specific documentation or anything like that.
That's very cool. Very cool. Mostly virtual, right? That you can, I know anywhere in the country they can get with you. You're going to work with them most. This is kind of like a virtual family thing here, family office in a sense, right?
Yes, that's correct. I work virtually with my clients.
Very cool. Now I got a question for you that I don't want to throw you for a loop, but what's something most people don't know about you?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. Something people don't usually know about me is I don't actually see money as an end goal. I see it as a tool for creating a fully aligned life. I've spent a lot of time personally working on myself, discipline, habits. And what I've realized is most financial stress isn't about numbers. It's about a lack of clarity and alignment. So now when I work with clients, I don't just talk about investments or your net worth. We talk about what their life is about, and then we build everything around that.
No, that makes a ton of sense. Well, Hogan, I appreciate you being here today. Is there anything you want to, I'll leave the last word for you with the audience. Anything you want to tell them?
No, I think covered everything, and I appreciate the time, Bob.
Awesome. Thank you.